What's going on, y'all? I'm here, Houston, Texas, H-Town, and I'm talking to my sister Terri, who is back from the Congo. And we're going to talk about her experience in the Congo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. I can't wait. Now I'm loving the hair, and I see the pick and everything in there.
Thank you.
This is what's going on. Now, you were in the Congo for 6 months. First, why did you go to the Congo?
My partner is Congolese, and I always wanted to go to Africa. I had met a Mozambique transfer student at my university, and she always invited me to Mozambique. I never was able to afford it, and when the pandemic and everything happened, I just had some residual funds, and I was able to go to Congo with my partner.
All right. So you went to Congo. What were your expectations of Congo?
So basically, I had did like a whole year plus of watching different like YouTube experiences and whatnot. So I had a very like generic view of like Africa based off what has been, like exposed to me on YouTube and whatnot.
Got it. Was that Congo your first African country?
It was my first time being out the country, period.
Being out of the U.S.
Period.
So you're from Houston, grew up in L.A.
Yep.
Okay, so you.
I was born in Houston. I was raised in L.A. I went to school and did everything in California. And once I graduated, I had moved to Houston, and so I've been like in Houston since.
Okay. What was the biggest thing that you learned, or the biggest surprising aspect of the Congo?
The surprising part.
If anything, maybe it was nothing.
I guess just seeing everything firsthand, because it's one thing to actually like go on YouTube and see people's like day-to-day life, but you just been there, seeing everything firsthand, and my experiences was pretty interesting. Like I never knew what it was going to be like being in a country where everybody spoke different languages, because the people that I were watching were literally like expats who like have been going to these different countries. Usually they pick English speaking, so it was crazy literally being out there with my English thoughts and everybody speaking French or speaking Lingala or Ladi or Kikongo.
Now, a lot of people don't realize, or a lot of people don't know that there are different languages, meaning different European languages in Africa. What was it like when you went to this French-speaking country?
So everybody spoke French, and some people were happy that I was learning Lingala, and other people were actually upset. They wanted me to like embrace the French language and didn't want me to practice their language, because before I actually went to the country, I was practicing Lingala, so I knew how to say very basic things like my name, where I was from, how to say hi, and just like other words, because I had learned it from a book. I like bought a book, so I would be more able to communicate and just adapt easier to the culture, because I'd have some of the vocabulary.
Why do you think they didn't want you to learn French? I mean, oh no, the local language, and preferred you to learn French.
Because for one, I think it was just like the prejudice, just like prejudice that like a lot of black people have against themselves. And the next thing is that from a formal sense, it's easier to get along if you know like French, because business is done in French. When you go to hospitals or just like different places, you're able to use that language as a way to get by and whatnot. And the local languages are something that really only the people who speak that mother tongue like appreciate. So when it comes to like businesses and other stuff, it was just better to do it in French, because even within school, the curriculum is solely in French. They don't even teach them how to speak their own language formally.
Really? So they're learning.
The only time that you actually do get to speak or learn the language, and probably like the how to speak it with like a grammatical formal structure, is in college. You don't get that throughout, like you just know it by ear.
Interesting, because I was in an Anglophone country, which is Ghana, English-speaking country, and I was told by one of the Ghanaians that they were actually forced to speak English, and they were discouraged from speaking their native languages in schools. Is that the same in the
Yep,
francophone
because
countries?
my partner was telling me that even the teachers will beat you. They will hit you if they hear you speaking your mother tongue in school.
So this is in a French-speaking country?
In a French-speaking. It's basically a copy-paste system, just a different language.
So
the curriculum is from abroad. The languages is from abroad, and basically I feel like the same behaviors is the same.
So with the French-speaking countries and the British-speaking, English-speaking countries, they kind of pattern themselves after each other.
You wouldn't know unless you spoke French. If you had somebody telling you that it's the same, you wouldn't. Other than that, you probably wouldn't know. But because my partner speaks English and French, he's able to communicate his experience as a Congolese man in the Congo.
Interesting, but now the Congo was colonized. I know Leopold from Belgium was there, but somehow the French were able, I guess the French came in and took it from Belgium, or how did that work?
I'm not really sure when the French stepped in and became like the main person that's
The dominant,
the new colonizer.
The new colonizer.
Yes, I'm not sure when that occurred, or even if Belgium was actually bringing the French language, and then eventually
Understood.
the French was the one, who took over. Because in Europe they be speaking all each other languages. And,
That is very true.
Yeah. And so I'm not really sure about that part. And I know Patrice Lumumba, he was speaking French like. Most people in Africa, I think they've been speaking French for a minute when it comes to, or not in Africa, in Congo. They've been speaking French for a minute.
Okay, so clearly the French weaseled their way in there some kind of, I just got to call it how it is, y'all.
For real, they did.
Yeah, French are gangster.
And weaseled is a polite way of saying how they implemented their language.
Yeah, you notice how I say gangster, right? Yeah. Follow that up because it's, I think on some levels when I heard about, when the gentleman in Ghana was telling me about his experience, and he was telling me just from his experience. And by him doing that, I was like, okay, so a lot of people, kind of said, well, no, that didn't happen like that. As far as the beatings for them to force them to learn the different languages, the English language rather. And then I think the curiosity factor came in when it came to the French-speaking countries. I was wondering if they did the same thing as far as imposing the French language on the students. So you're confirming, your partner said that that's what happened.
I think that especially when it comes to like colonization, they have to be that brutal for people to be able to like carry the legacy that they want. Like it wasn't done passively. So that's why when it comes to, Congolese people or just African people in general, like supporting that, it has to be like brutal as well.
It was pretty, I guess it's kind of like what they did to our ancestors here.
Exactly. It has to be done in an aggressive manner so that at some point they don't need to beat us. We'll beat each other if we're not compliant. Interesting.
Interesting. You made a statement earlier talking about how people being prejudiced against themselves. What did you mean when you said black people being prejudiced against themselves?
I guess it more so is like the internalized hate, just because we are living within like post-colonial or currently colonial like systems. So I think that we like inherently operate for the benefit of colonialism, and that's when you could talk about like epigenetics, because that's basically the core of these symptoms, which is the self-hate. Because epigenetics is basically stating like the trauma that your ancestors experience has been passed down through your DNA. So therefore, you're going to operate in a certain way. And if that ancestral trauma being passed through epigenetics isn't good enough, you'll have these social structures that have historically been manipulated. So you'll have that playing a part in what you do and how you behave.
I've heard quite a few people throughout the continent. I've been to 17 different countries. And I could see the impact of colonization in each country to the point where some people don't believe that colonization affected them. So they think that it's just a black American thing. We have the problems. We're the ones who are angry and upset. And we just need to get over it without realizing that they're dealing with the same effects through the educational system, through the religious systems, through the economic systems, through the delusion of independence, all these other things. Through your observation, when you were in, and I know Congo is the only country you've been in Africa.
I've been to both Congos.
So DRC and, okay.
Yes, I've been to both of them.
So what, in your observation, what did you see?
So Kinshasa, I've been to both capitals as well. So Kinshasa is a very like populated country, and their capital is really developed because a lot of people go there and like do business and whatnot. So the city like looks really nice, but when you actually start to speak to people, it's like sad because like you don't see like dogs or cats on the street because people eat them. That's how like, and it's not because it's a delicacy, it's because of the type of situation that they're in. So I've been there, and I had traveled across to the other Congo. So I went from capital to capital. I don't know if you know, but both Congos, they have the closest capital cities in the world.
No, they
the
don't.
only thing that separates them is the Congo River. Do you know about the Congo River?
No,
The Congo
I'm getting a lesson
River
right here.
is literally like the longest river, the second longest river in Africa, and the second largest river in the world. So the Congo River basically separates both of the Congos. So I had traveled across the water and went to Brazzaville. But the thing about it is, it's very complicated to travel from one Congolese country to the next. And you would think it's crazy. You guys are both Congos. Like, you would think it would be a lot
both
easier.
speak French.
Both speak French. Both share languages as well. The people in Brazzaville speak Lingala. The people in Kinshasa, they speak Lingala. They share similar languages, the exact same culture, everything. It's like literally just the languages is different. And basically these countries that have been set up by, you know, the
Berlin
past
Conference,
colonial
Berlin
masters
Conference.
or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, they're on their only thing that really like drives a wedge in between those two countries, because people take it serious. Like, even though they both consider themselves Congolese, you'll have one side like not wanting the other to come over because they like, oh, you're like this, or you like, you know, what
So
weird
they
like,
put that division in there,
yes.
like they do.
So they don't
Yeah.
even have to like physically be there anymore, because that goes back to, you know, like the internalized depression, and you just the self-hate, you know. So I found that real crazy. But yeah, I was able to travel to both, and I was able to like witness that, and it was just real interesting.
How did you feel about that? Because, you know, there are a lot of perceptions that we have here, because sometimes we think that what we went through here was unique, but did you go there and say, wait a minute, there's some
Yeah, it was
similarities?
too many like parallels and whatnot. And I found it real crazy that it was very hard to convince Congolese people that colonization is like an issue, which is weird. And it's very like complicated to sit there and have them acknowledge their enemies as their real enemies, because for them, they will put more energy in not liking or trying to make the life harder of a Congolese person who crossed over. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because these foreigners get red carpet, you know, type of experience in your country, when both of you guys are Congolese people. Like, it just didn't make.
Well, I've heard that the same thing. I heard the gentleman who was talking about his situation in Ghana. He said that if you did not speak proper English, other Ghanaians would look down on you and treat you poorly, because, and your fellow countrymen, this is what he told me, it would treat you poorly if you didn't speak proper English. And obviously would roll out the red carpet for anyone coming from another country or whatever, and would give them preferential treatment based upon, now of course this obviously might not be everybody, but from a culture perspective, they said it. So that's interesting.
And in Congo, they do the same thing. Like, you could speak, mind you, Congolese people, they speak so many different languages. I find it like just crazy. And if you don't speak good French, automatically you're labeled stupid. Like, and it's definitely a certain type of prejudice. And again, it's a copy paste system. They just speak in different languages.
I mean, that's serious, because I've seen it in other parts of Africa too.
And another thing is that a lot of Congolese people, or I don't want to say a lot, but there is a certain number of Congolese people who would prefer to speak only French, not being able to speak their native languages at all. And I'm like, that's a great way to kill off your culture, to kill off your language. So basically you're encouraging, well, first off, you're not speaking the language, which means your kids most likely won't be able to speak the language because you're not teaching them. Who else is going to teach them? So that's another thing that I thought was, you know, like, when it comes to the colonial leaders, I'm like, they did a excellent job excellent
diabolical system of psychological warfare.
Exactly.
That has now been, it can refuel itself.
And I'm glad you said psychological warfare, because that makes me think of spiritual warfare. Do you know who Branham is? Like, I can't remember his first name, but he's like, his name is Branham. And I've never heard of him before. He was like a pastor.
No.
So he was this pale pastor who spread his influence from America. He went to Congo and basically was teaching them how to be like morally decent, like, and he taught them, the women, to wear long skirts, not have makeup, not wear wigs, like all type of stuff. And I kept being told that by Congolese people. I'm like, they're like, oh my God, you never heard of Branham? I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
Like, I almost don't want to hear about Branham. But go ahead.
Man, and it gets deep, because they kept telling me about him. Oh, Branham's so great, Branham. They even have churches out there. They have pictures of him next to Jesus. That shows how important he is. And mind you, he was a prophet. They called him a prophet. Excuse me. They called him a prophet.
Yeah, right.
So basically, and there's like a certain type of like religion that's dedicated to like his teachings and
like
whatnot.
Branhamism.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. And he basically came with the Bible and all that stuff. But my issue was like, you guys are praising this white man from America.
Well, they
like,
do,
and I thought it was very crazy because
do that with the white Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, I know, and I've seen a lot of that. I've never seen. When I was in Africa, not one time did I see a black Jesus. In my household, when I was raised, we had a black Jesus like on our wall. But let me get back to the Branham. So basically, Branham, I had like looked him up, did a little research, and I had found out that this man was baptized by a KKK wizard. You know what that is? The highest ranking KKK. I literally had to find that out, because I'm like, a KKK wizard. Not only that, he gave Jim Jones the light that he needed to
do that craziness.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it took 5 minutes for me to look at that, and y'all worshiping this man. Well, I thought it was so crazy. I'm like, y'all sitting here worshiping this man. This man is literally like Satan.
But if you think about how the system, how they started that whole thing early on, as far as religious conversion, because when they came in, even when you go to the Catholics and you begin to find out how they started a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people don't like to hear that, but either you want the truth or you don't. They tell you right there in the little books and stuff. They'll tell you exactly what they were doing. But it's like that, once you get into it, you talk about psychological and you talk about the spiritual, once you get those two,
that's deep.
You have a person's soul.
Yeah, exactly.
You have them controlled.
It's one thing to have your mind, but your
soul at the same time. You sit up there like, I can control your money. I can control who you marry. I can control how you think. I can control your behaviors. I can control where you go. I can control what you teach your children.
Man.
I can control everything about your existence.
I can control what God you pray to.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
And have you willing to die or kill
and
for the sake of that.
And mind you, there was issues where like the Branham people who were like his followers was killing people for having different religions in Congo. Yeah. And I'm like, these people are like,
I'm studying Branham now. I want to know.
Yeah, now look it up. Look it up.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think of his first name, but I don't care that much. I don't even care that much to find his, to really wholeheartedly look. But no. And not only that, his church had basically, his church in America, they had got caught for like child abuse. They got caught for like money laundering. It was just like a dirty church. And I'm like, I find it so crazy that they like, mind you, it was Congolese people in Houston that had started the church. That the Branham Church, the chapter that's like here. And I'm like, there is no way, mind y'all speak English now. It took me less than 5 minutes to find this information about this man. And I been knew it was wrong, because I'm like, there's no way this American man, this white American man is coming to Africa and telling y'all what the moral code is. Y'all haven't even got it right in America. How's you now international with this message?
But a lot of people follow this stuff.
And they do to this
day. The Branhamites are still out there.
To this day, I literally went to visit his family, and they literally have people in the church where one of them. So basically, his sister and her husband follow it. They go to church faithfully. One of the sisters had came back from France, so she's not like majorly indoctrinated because she didn't got out the country. They love going to France. Congolese people, that's like their one dream is to go to France.
Yeah,
she was able to make it out.
Francophone countries just like that.
Exactly. She was able to make it out, and she had came back, and she was wearing makeup. Why they call her the devil?
Well,
they call her the devil for wearing makeup. I'm like, it's funny that you call her the devil, but you won't call that man the devil.
Yeah, yeah.
You won't call who needs to. You know, like, it's crazy that we have this certain energy for each other, but the people that we need to have it with, we don't have it. We don't.
I've seen
like,
that all throughout.
Man,
everywhere I've been.
Man.
I was in Kenya. Now since we going there, I was in Kenya, and I just made a simple observation, and I was like, the British haven't gone anywhere, and this independence thing is not real.
Illusion.
So of course, folks wanted to come. For me, and tell me, you need to go back to America, y'all angry African Americans, y'all know what y'all talking about, y'all is angry. And I'm saying to myself, you're quick to tell me to go home, but you won't go tell the jokers that's coming in here raiding your resources, taking advantage of you, put this educational system in place, put this two-party political system in place, trying to strip everything from you, but quick to tell me to one say, hey, listen, pay attention. We've been dealing with these jokers for a while, and we know how they operate here. But I didn't, not just there, I've seen it in other countries where this thing is something, I was shocked, because I was like, well, where does this come from that people are just so willing to embrace the very systems
that's destroying them?
It can't. Now, let me say this, to be fair, there were a whole lot of Kenyans that came back against those who were, saying, oh, you need to go back. They were like, nah, we know this mess is crazy. We trying to get them up out of here too. So it wasn't like just a blanket
Enemies
statement.
of progress.
Yeah.
That's what them people was. Enemies of progress. And they call it horizontal hostility when like people that's in your same camp is going against one another.
Yeah.
And we could call it friendly fire, because that's basically like the same definition. It's like people that's not your enemy, you firing them.
Yeah.
It
was a distraction. While they're still coming in, taking all the resources,
and we fighting one another.
Fighting each other.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
yeah, but they call that horizontal hostility, but I call it cowardice, because we know it's a big dog that not that really of a big dog, but like, it's easier for me and you to fight and argue, but it's harder for me to go out there and go mess with one of them. Because it's easier for me and you to like sit here and like beef.
Because nobody's gonna bother us.
Exactly, because they like it. And if I kill you, people are, it's like I'm gonna get in trouble. But let me kill him. They're gonna beat me. They gonna all type of stuff before they put me in jail. And I feel like it reminds me of like gang violence in America. Like, you literally get stripes off killing your own people. But like, it's like, y'all already know y'all gonna go to jail. Why you don't take that energy to
when stuff goes down and you decide to tear up your own neighborhood?
Why you don't
go down to wherever?
And I think with the LA riots, that was basically about to happen after like we tore up our neighborhoods, we was going to their neighborhoods, and it was like, oh hell no, and they had shut that down immediately. But I'm like, that should have been the first place. Like,
if you think about it. If you think about it, why would you go
destroy
to your own
why would you shit
food source?
Right.
Exactly. Perfect analogy. But you use the gang analogy, and it's the same element of tribalism. If you look at exploiting that whole thing, if you want to take it, and it's something that a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about.
But I'm from LA. My mom was a gangbanger. My family gangbangers. Like, it's something that
it is what it is.
It is.
How do we solve? Is this something that could even be solved?
Definitely.
So how do we solve it?
It's definitely mental. I feel like once your mind is right, then you're gonna be able to find a solution. But if we have a sick mind, it's like sick people. I don't know how you're gonna heal other people if you're sick. So it's better for us to acknowledge our sickness, try to heal that, and just go from there.
What does it take for us to acknowledge the sickness? Because we live in cultures that like to cover up the truth. I mean, even Black American culture, a lot of African cultures don't like to air the dirty laundry. It's like, keep that quiet, don't say anything, let's act like everything is all good. So if we don't address the dirty laundry, how do we get well?
Exactly. You definitely got to address it. You got to take it head on. And I think that is one of the solutions. Is literally like acknowledgement is the first solution. And once you acknowledge it, everything else falls in place.
How do we get people to acknowledge it? We have generational, this stuff is
because you can't force nobody to do nothing. And they say it's easier to bring up a child right to fix a broken adult I'm gonna say adult instead of just man. So it's just like I feel like it starts at home. It starts with yourself first, and then if you have kids and stuff, definitely teach your kids the truth. And there's no cap to the, like no age limit to truth, because people be trying to shelter their kids, and their kids will be in a bad spot mentally if you be trying to like shelter reality. Like it don't benefit nobody to like hide truths or try to like sugarcoat it.
So that's, because I see it, like this conversation right here would cause someone to get upset somewhere, whether it be here in America, we're in Houston right now, hanging out at Baba Jollof, so we're getting some good food here, or whether we're over in South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana. We can take any one of the 54, 55 countries on the continent of Africa. We can go to Canada and talk about things. We can go to the UK and talk about things. We can go down to South America. When people have that challenge of acknowledging the truth, like you said, it's almost like we're stunting our own growth. But something else you said that was a good point is if you teach the children how to analyze truth and teach them the truth. Now, this is what I found. I found that a lot of our elders want to talk about the truth now. I have like 86-year-olds, 89, 90-year-olds, 85-year-olds that are now watching the channel, and they're saying, no, here is the truth. And I just never felt I had a voice, and I appreciate you all talking about this. So it sounds like people who just want the truth, they're just tired. Like a lot of people are tired of the facade that we're putting up.
And that's definitely a great thing.
With your with what you're doing now, where's the next country you think you're gonna visit in
I'm
Africa?
definitely gonna go back to Congo. But one thing that I be thinking about is that I don't know if you know that like Congo is like the heart of Africa.
Yes,
like,
I do.
And if the heart is messed up or dying or unhealed, it's like with the brain and the body, like
when you say
everything.
heart, why do you say heart? Let's make sure we're saying
Well,
the same
I
reason.
say heart because it's central.
Okay.
It's like the central organ. A lot of the world's wealthiest resources are centered in Congo. And I say heart because the Congolese culture, I feel like, is definitely a representation of what something can be like labeled up as, or just like deemed as like the heart of Africa. And that's why I say like central.
No, I get it. So the location, the geographical location,
Yes.
and then the fact that it has, from what I understand, has just about all of the resources
Exactly.
that are on the continent you can find within that Congo DRC region right there. And then obviously from your personal experience, you saw the vibrancy of the culture, which
Congolese people, definitely their music, their language. Lingala is a beautiful language. Kikongo, like the languages, just everything about Congo is definitely like the reason why I would label it as, like the heart, the centralized spot of Africa. And I don't know if you know, but the Congo Empire, like it's good that Congolese people were able to retain their name, but the Congo Empire was definitely a lot larger. And
it was called something
Angola.
else before.
It was the Congo.
It was called the Congo.
It was Congo.
But it wasn't given another name. What was it? Zaire? Was Zaire? Was that?
Man, Mobutu is trash. Mobutu is trash. He helped assist Patrice Lumumba get slaughtered, and he's a disgrace. And he was sick, and he tried to heal himself a little bit later, but he was trash.
So that's where the name Zaire came from?
That's where DRC, the DRC was named Zaire before. So some people are offended when you call them like Zairewa. Because it's actually like a negative thing, because not everybody agreed with what Mobutu was doing. He just happened to be the leader. Well, he was put in place by a leader, thanks to America, thanks to France, and other entities who helped support that reality.
Good old USA.
Man,
good old
of
red,
course,
white, and blue.
they had because they still have their tentacles in Africa.
Everywhere.
So of course they're going to be a part of the politics. You cannot let the Congo be self-sufficient, because it will literally cripple everyone's economy. Because if they actually were getting paid for the wealth of their resources, people wouldn't be able to afford it. Like they wouldn't, and they'll be able to take their place at number one, which they need to be. And so basically the Congo Empire was Angola, Gabon, both Congos, I think like parts of Central Africa, Cameroon, like literally huge. literally huge. And if Congolese people literally could officially get together and reestablish themselves as, Congolese people, I think that'd be great. Because if you can reestablish yourself as Angolan, Cameroonese, and you've only been called that for like less than 100 years, you can definitely revert back to who you were, which was Congolese people. And if they got all their resources, everything together, there will be another powerhouse. Even if the whole Africa can get together. But at the least, if the Congolese Empire could join again, they would definitely be a powerhouse.
Well, you mentioned Angola. It's Portuguese.
Portuguese speaking, yep.
Gabon is French.
Yep.
Central African Republic,
and Cameroon,
French.
Do you know about the problem in Cameroon?
About the French and the English?
Yes,
that whole thing? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like English is the minority and the French is the majority, and they killing English speakers. Yeah. Man, I saw on TikTok, one girl got shot. She a part of the English speaking Cameroon. A boy shot her in her eye for no reason.
Because you speak English?
Yes, and she was pretty.
But that's not just in Cameroon. Maybe not the shootings. So let me just preface it.
It's the violence. It's aggressive.
But it's the when I went to Cote d'Ivoire, and that's French speaking. And when I went there, of course I speak English. People I were with, they spoke both French and English.
Yeah.
But I was told by them that if you spoke English in places like Cote d'Ivoire, you would be looked down upon. I was told in Ghana that when they were children, they were discouraged from speaking French, and they were told that the French were thieves. But
what about the people who brought you English?
Who was stealing, right? It's that type of stuff that people don't but we didn't realize a lot of this stuff too here in America because we're in their English speaking system. We're in their English curriculums and English culture.
And if you speak AAVE, it's looked at as like less respectable because respectability politics. If you speak English, and especially when you speak it closer to what like white people speak, it's like seen as a better thing versus like if you speak in like slang.
Exactly. Exactly. And so we deal with these similar, dynamics when we start looking at it from a cultural standpoint, and we begin to understand the differences in, let me say this, the similarities in the plight that we have faced. Because think about it like this. We've been forced to learn English. We've been graded based upon their standard. We've been graded based upon their culture. So one of the things I appreciate is your hair.
Oh, thank you.
Because even back when I was growing up, there's no way in the world that they would have something to say. Girl, you need to go do something with your hair.
The crazy part about it, I've been wearing my natural hair since like 2012, like natural as in its natural state. I never had a perm. I never really like did anything extreme to my hair. Except for like flat iron it. I think I wore a weave like twice or whatever. But I've been wearing my natural hair since 2012, and I'm glad that people have gotten like where they have gotten to when it comes to like, accepting black women like as we are and accepting themselves as they are. The crazy thing is when I was in Congo, they was like, when you gonna do your hair? And I'm all like,
do your hair?
I was so confused because I'm like, what you mean my hair done? And it wasn't like a crazy like afro as in like it wasn't picked out, it wasn't like flattened, it wasn't shaped, it literally was like shaped. It was like I put time into it. It wasn't like I just woke up and was like, let me walk around it's an afro, forget it. No, I actually took time to like pick it out and do it and stuff. And they basically was asking me like why was my hair undone. And I'm all like, I wasn't offended just because I'm like, you're slow. You're literally slow.
You were perplexed.
Yeah, it was like shocking because I was in Africa. I'm like, what? Y'all think Afro is not done? Okay, whatever. So I didn't tell you that when I was in Congo, I was working at a laboratory. Like I was able to get an internship, and it was a very nice laboratory. And one day I had walked in, because usually I put my hair in 2-strand twists. I had walked in with my Afro, and they're like, oh, you didn't do your hair. And they made me put on a net.
What?
They made me put on a net, yeah.
But that goes to show you how deep this thing is. It goes to show you how, on so many levels, the continent
that you being your authentic self is not good enough. You speaking your natural language is not good enough. Like, yeah.
And I think the one part of it is like where we have, again, a lot of criticism that we get as Black Americans, African Americans, whatever we want to call it, we get criticized for having our culture and identity stripped. But what you begin to see is when you go to other places where people have had the same thing happen to them,
And they're proud of it.
And it's like, yeah, this is how we do it. And it's like, do you even know where that came from? What were they doing with hair before colonization? That's the thing. But a lot of people don't even realize colonization occurred. A lot of people are fantasizing and idolizing. I call her the crazy queen in England. Idolizing her and wanting to be a part of this British royal family and wanting to be a part of all of these things. And it's like, no, these are the very people who have manipulated, stolen. These are the same people who bring the various religions to say, don't steal, don't kill, don't destroy, but they're the ones who are stealing, killing, and destroying.
That was the first attack on Africa too, and people still failed to realize that. It first was passive, then it was aggressive.
Exactly.
They passively came, they gave the Bible, they tried to preach about this so great God or whatever, and then they came aggressively.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people just failed to realize, or just failed to remember.
And they're doing it again. I mean, it's like you got the Mormons over there. I'm like, what y'all doing?
People
over
always
there?
going on missions over there. How y'all going to missions in your own country, mister?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you fixing your own country be the mission?
It's like, what are you taking over there to the people?
Yeah, you're not like morally better than anyone.
It's the craziest thing. Now that I understand it, it is the absolute craziest thing, diabolical, craziest thing that I've ever seen. It's like you're going over there and don't even understand what you're taking to the people. You're taking the poison to the people, but without realizing you're drinking it and then taking it to the people, but yet complaining about the conditions. So anyway,
I wanted to mention one
thing.
thing.
No, break it down. You got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought it was very great. Shout out to Niger. It was very great for Nigerians basically to ban like non-black people in their advertisements. I think that is a great step to have some type of self like respect. All of it. And I feel like the next thing is to ban white Jesus. Like, what? The white Jesus, the white angels. There's no way you're praying to a white Jesus and thinking that is normal. There's no way that the angels around you are white. Like, they have to be black for it to really be beneficial to you. Because I find it so crazy. Like, we already know the religions is just ridiculous. But you praying to a white Jesus? And like in your representation of angels,
I saw one in Houston last night. I saw one.
It's a mess.
I was in Houston. I said, wait a minute. I'm in Houston.
Like,
Texas.
that's a mess.
And I saw one. I said,
and people the response that I've gotten, is that color doesn't matter. If color doesn't matter, make it black. Because clearly color mattered. That's why they created it and made it white.
And it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing that has shocked a lot of people when they come. They see. When I went, that was the first thing that shocked me.
Africa?
Yeah, I was like, what are he doing here? That's when I knew something shady occurred.
And when you mention it, if somebody gets mad, don't you understand that's a problem too?
Yeah.
You're mad because I'm criticizing your white Jesus.
Yeah.
You really think Jesus is white?
Yeah.
Like you already know the historical implications of Jesus, and you gonna sit here and let somebody manipulate you, and you pretending like color doesn't matter. Oh,
I was in Ethiopia.
Gets me mad.
I was in Ethiopia. I went to Lalibela to the churches, and I asked the gentleman. I said, "What's up with this?" I said, "How did this get here? Y'all supposed to be some of the oldest churches in the world. How did he get here?"
Thank you.
And he said, "The only people that ask about it are Black Americans."
Yes, and the thing about it is, I had watched a YouTube video of a Kenyan woman. She had went to Ethiopia, and when I had saw all I was like, "There's no way." I thought y'all wasn't colonized. I thought that y'all kept y'all sphere of influence, and it just shows it's.
That's what I said.
It's ridiculous.
I said something happened here.
Yes,
I said, maybe not physically colonized, but up here,
yes,
something happened.
The mental, the spiritual, you just as messed up as anybody else. You not know better.
Yeah.
If this is what you're like praying to, if this is if this is your moral authority, you're not better than nobody.
Well, listen, let me ask you this. You spent time in Congo. We've highlighted the unfortunate stuff. What are some beautiful things that you saw?
The food is delicious. It is a beautiful place. The people are great people. The language is great. The dancing, the hips. I don't know if y'all know, like Congolese people, they love the hips. And it's I met some great people in Congo, and what was so beneficial is that like I was the first Black American that a lot of people met. So I made sure that I made like a positive image of us, and you know, it was cool. I liked it.
So did you experience them not liking us and all of that
I
stuff?
never, you know, somebody actually like made my heart heavy because the dude had found out I was Black American. He's like, oh, the Black Americans have come to save us, come to change Congo. I was like, oh, that's a lot of weight. Like, we haven't even fixed.
I was saying, we got to fix.
We haven't even fixed America. I'm coming here for refuge. I got more work to do. Like, dang.
Right.
And yeah, it was the Congolese. They received me very well, and more people was proud that I was like able to speak Lingala than people that weren't. Yeah, and I don't know if I had a great experience because of the type of like preparation that I had, but when I first got to Kinshasa, it was very Africa. Like the Africa that I saw on TV, it was like very Africa. I didn't even have a cultural shock. I think when I officially had a culture shock was when I was like in my partner's on his property or whatever, and my neighbors across the street, she had like 5, 6 kids, and they all slept in like one house. And it was like they didn't have working water. They had to get water from us. They didn't have working electricity. Like,
so that's when you saw it. That's when you saw some of what we were familiar with. Oh, okay.
I think that was the culture shock. It wasn't more so like nothing else. It was just like, dang, people was really out here living hard in the richest place on earth. Like,
and it's the what we enjoy here in America. It's at their expensive. Yeah, at their expense. That's what I realized. I said those cell phones and all the things that we have and the things that we don't pay them the value, but yet so many of us have attitudes towards them because of the quote-unquote perceived poverty. Yeah, we're looking down on them. Yeah, without realizing if it weren't for what our so-called country elevated. Steals.
We got to step on them to be elevated. Yeah, I'm already knowing.
But yet we complain here about how we're treated. That's one of the things that I thought. I said, well, wait. If we really understand what we have in common and the common issue and the common enemy that we have, there's no way we could look down on it. But I run into so many of us who have this attitude like, I don't want nothing to do with Africa and them Africans. And I'm saying, whoa.
I already know.
I'm like, what are you talking about? But
man, I was just having a conversation because like people would rather like be on a run. Like when you got to go to jail, you'll cut your ankle bracelet off and you'll be running all up through the stage just waiting to get caught, waiting to get fingerprinted. If you don't leave this country, if you're in serious, if you don't leave this country, like literally America has a chokehold on us and it's ridiculous. But and we experience all type of abuse here, and we literally want to always look down upon Africa and be like, well, I'm not gonna go there because they water not working. I'm not gonna go there because they electricity not working. But Houston been having crazy power outages. It be mad.
Tell it on H-Town.
It be all type of crazy things happening, like the floods and stuff. But when we speaking of water, since y'all like a lot of people like to go in on Africa's poor water systems or just issues in Africa when it comes to water. Why Jackson, Mississippi water dirty? If you need to take a bucket bath, go take a bucket bath with clean water in Africa, because they got a bucket bath, got to buy water bottles to brush their teeth and stuff. Like literally, Flint, Michigan has poison water. Like I don't understand like why America is just.
But what we'll say is, poverty in Africa is worse than poverty in America. And they'll come with all of these different things to try.
Yeah, and I mean, you can go with whatever you want to go with, but like the fact is like our food quality is poor, our air quality is poor, our water quality is poor, our mental health is like literally deteriorating daily. Man, like all these, the mass shootings, the police. The list goes on. As much negative stuff, man. When you want to go about the negative stuff that's going on in America and try to compare it to like Africa, it's like the nonsense here is not comparable. Yeah. Like it's too much BS here. I'd rather no. It's a no. And then you never really own nothing. You sitting here and paying taxes forever. Like no way. No way you can convince me this is normal. No way you can convince me that prison is better than paradise. There's no way. There's no way.
But if your mind sees prison. Because I hear a lot of people here, they're so terrified of Africa, terrified of Africa, but they've normalized carjackings, random shootings, people running up in the school shooting
medical
people,
apartheid.
Medical apartheid. All these different things we've normalized, and said that this somehow is better than somebody said. Well, would you rather stay? I said, have you been to, I've just run down, have you been to the beaches in Senegal? Have you been in the forest in Ghana with the mango trees and the pineapples and all
Have
these
you ever owned property that you didn't have to pay no taxes on?
No. And those but think about it.
Yeah, have you, man. Like, because it's just ridiculous. And another thing that I want to mention about, like, Congo and just, like, Africa in general, I think once African people realize that there is no paper value that can equate to the value of the natural resources that is in Africa, then the world will change. Yeah. When you stop selling and just keep it for yourself.
Well, think about this. We think we have it so good. We could be shut down. If they stop sending food to the grocery stores, we're shut down. How many of us can live off of the land in America?
Not many.
Go to most places in Africa, especially below the Saharan desert, you can grow your food, you can live off of the land, and this is all year round. Mm-hmm. Speaking of natural resources. And so we think that we have it so good with our GMO foods, with our overprocessed foods, with our hydrogenated fats, with all these different things that are put in the food to kill us, to shorten our lives, give us cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these different things. You can go over there, you get your peace of mind. Talk to so many people talk about peace of mind. Talk to so many people about the quality of food, but yet they're looked at like they're crazy. Like they don't know what they're doing, but yet we're consuming all of this poison.
Consuming death.
Yeah.
Consuming death. Yeah, I agree. It's a mess.
Whew. Well, Terry, I tell you, we've had a good conversation.
Yes, I am very interested.
The comments are going to be on fire. Somebody's going to be trying to defend and go all off in this and that.
I hope they get the help that they need, because clearly, if anything triggered you, it definitely was some truth. And you need to go look in the mirror and just figure out what you need to change about yourself to put you in a path where things like this doesn't trigger you, it empowers you.
That's all I got to say. Mic has been dropped.
Open up your eyes and see all the wonder mystery of an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The relaxation, the peace that is here and compared to where I live is like, I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, the butterflies.
Well, I can't say I come from here, but in my heart, this is it.
It's just been beautiful, being able to see all of the nature, all of the animals. It feels like I'm in a movie.
It was a learning experience just to see, what the country looks like, how beautiful it is, to see that it's not what they show you on TV. It makes me want to see more of Africa, to learn more about Africa.
Home, I had always done a lot of research on different parts of Africa, so I knew that some of the conceptions of Africa were not true.
I've seen it all. You hear me? Birds. We've seen grass. We've seen it all.
It'll change you within. I mean, you need to see it. I mean, you have to come.
What you want? Yeah!
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari, and from there we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we go to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa, in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on a children's level so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora, as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the adventures of Darren and Destiny.